Hello. Just got back from dinner, so I'm a little late. It's kind of crazy right now. Everyone's kind of scared about this storm that's coming. So they're like, gas stations are all out of gas. Everywhere's out of water. They're afraid that Florida's going to get blown away. What's up, guys? Sorry about that. Yeah, so everyone's afraid that Florida's going to get blown away. Don't worry, I'm not scared. Just got back from dinner. I don't know if you guys ever been to Bahama Breeze. Hey, what's up, King Pod? What's up, Colin? So yeah, I don't know if you guys been to Bahama Breeze, but it is awesome. It's like one of my favorite places to go. It's crazy bright right now. That's better. All right. So how's everybody's week been? It's been, like I said, it's been a little crazy around here because of the storm that's going to be coming. All right, so just a reminder for everybody that we do basically any real estate question you have, any credit, taxes, business question you have, I'm more than happy to answer. I have my own accounting firm, insurance agency, mortgage company, so whatever you guys need to know regarding any of those businesses, I'm more than happy to answer. And to help you build any part of their financial, your personal finances, because there's different, let's just say your personal finances is a house or a building. Each cornerstone needs to be built up for you to be able to be financially strong. So each sector that I'm mentioning, credit, personal savings, investing, tax returns, all of those things require you to be building them up to be successful. So again, any questions you guys have, I'm more than happy to answer. First question I see here, how do you secure credit? So how do you secure credit? So that, there could be different parts. There could be a part where, like you're saying, how do you get a secured credit card? Which, to get a secured credit card is pretty simple. You put down money with the bank or credit card company, say $500, and they give you a secured credit card for $500. That's a secured credit card. That's a very beginning way to build credit or rebuild credit. If you ever had bad credit, that's a really good way to do it. Notorious, how you doing? All right, Chad has a question. I have a question. I talked to you about the full-time employees on your flip business. Payroll, can you explain what they positions they are? All right, so I don't have any full-time employees for my flip business. I don't have any. I do have one personal assistant. He's my assistant, and he basically does everything that I do. He makes sure that everything I ask to get done gets done. And then I review anything he asks me to review. Now, I have a lot of non-employees that work for me. For example, I have a stucco guy, I have a flooring guy, I have a roofing companies, I have drywall people, I have plumbing people, I have electrical, I have AC. And that's a good thing that they don't work for you. Again, if they work for you, it would be a little cheaper, but then you have to watch them closer. If you're hiring subs and you're paying them based off of what they have to get done, it's usually a little bit easier because you're getting people that should be knowing what they're doing. Now again, I've been doing this for a while, so in the past 15 years, I've figured out who does know what they're doing and who doesn't, so I'm able to hire the right people and who are doing it at a fair price. Because that's also important, because you can't pay too much money, because then you're not going to make any money. Hey Mimi, here Arturo. What's up, King Pod? All right, King Pod says, what do you think about the interest rates right now? Is it a good time to invest for my first deal? I have to use my personal credit. Normally when you're investing in real estate, you always use your personal credit. So I'm not 100% positive on what you're trying to say regarding that. But interest rates right now are record lows, super low. that's awesome. It's a great thing. That means you're able to make more profit. Interest rates being low or high are not my concern, to be honest with you. I had interest rates at 8% and 10 years ago, and 8% was a good deal for a investment property. So the rate so much is not so much of a determinant, is what are you buying the property for? Is a property a good deal? If the property is a good deal, you should be willing to pay a good amount of interest to secure it and eventually refinance down to a lower rate. But the deal is more important usually than the rate itself. Because if you're buying prime real estate, it's picking up the prime real estate. It's more important. Chad has a question. Okay, same setup I have. I subcontract everybody, and I also found it to be better because they have a better motivation to get work done faster and better. Yes, it is a lot easier to find it that way. Sometimes you get lucky because I got one guy that is not my employee, but he works for me and basically only me full time. And, so again, he is self-employed, he works for himself, but he only works for me. And he's very motivated, and I have 100% confidence in him. And there's some people out there that are like that are like, love doing, working hard, and being accomplished. You can't always find those people. And there's also a lot involved with managing people. So if it's usually easier to sub work out. And again, normally, even though I do a lot of deals, you can't always find work for 10 people in the construction field full time. Unless even if you're a developer, there is off seasons where you're not busy and you're in between, the legal paperwork you have to get done to get to the point where you can start doing your deal. So until you're very large, usually subcontracting work works out. Even right now, like I'm doing a pool, like there's only certain aspects I could have my people work on that pool, where eventually I still need to subcontract to a specific pool tech to handle that, which the pool should look really good when it's done in the Safety Harbor project. Really excited about that. Hey, what's up, Real Estate Guru? All right. Bonilla, how are you doing? Hello. Chad has another comment. It says, how do you keep track of expenses on your flips? Do you write everything down manually or have a sheet or something to keep track of expenses? To be honest with you, hey, thanks for the love, guys. To be honest with you, I keep everything on that business's or that company's credit card. Again, I'm an accountant, and I'm not crazy about how detailed things are. I feel that if I put everything on the business credit card or business debit card, the expense goes on there, and then I account for it later. My goal is to move the project as fast as possible. That is, if I miss a couple of receipts, hypothetically speaking, if I paid cash, it's not the end of the world, because the end of the world is losing an additional month on that project because you encountered all the expenses for the month and did not incorporate any income for that month. So that's the problem. So putting on a business credit card usually will count for everything as long as you put everything on that card. And even with the business, I have like the Bank of America app on my phone. So even when I'm paying, say, the subs, I zeal them the money from the business checking account to their checking account. So now the zeal shows me paying someone so that I can account for that as well. So I'm not missing any accountability factors there, especially if you are the person that is managing all of the finances. You have nothing really to be concerned about in sense of tracking expenses or anything being lost or stolen. All right. Next question is, if I have $10,000, what should I invest in? I am a college student. So one key thing I would say you need to invest in is in yourself. Really, really important. Because if you are hardcore about investing in yourself, you can wait till you're 22, 24 and start investing and do amazing because you've built such a knowledge in your head. I want to really, really emphasize this point. What you learn in college is not your education. It's your schooling. What you learn, how you educate yourself, is when you're reading books. like books that the college doesn't advise. When you're reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich. You know, Warren Buffett says the best return on his investment was the $100 he spent to go to the Dale Carnegie Academy, the guy who wrote Think and Grow Rich. Back then, that was like 50, 60 years ago. So $100 back then is probably more like $4,000 or $5,000 now. He said that was the best investment he ever made. Investing in yourself, being able to have the person think and Grow Rich is a great book. How to Win Friends and Influence People is a great book. How to Win Friends and Influence People basically teaches people how to talk to one another and treat one another. Imagine how important it is, because if you don't have good relationship skills, it ain't going to work out. No one's going to want to work with you. And think about it. Back in the 50s, they didn't have really phones like we have phones. They didn't have internet. They didn't have any of that stuff. So they had to communicate with people. So you would think they're very good at communicating. If you think in an area where people are very good at communicating face to face, they were encouraging people to learn to be better at communicating and how to win friends, how to influence people. Imagine nowadays where we are not that good at communicating face to face. We're not that good at that type of stuff because everything we're doing is on the phone, and everything we're doing is text, and everything is email and that type of stuff, and like talking crap about people online. Like people talk crap about me all the time online. And you got to learn how to roll off of that and come back positive. And meet people in the middle and win friends and then be able to influence them in such a way where you can see where you both win. That is so key today more than in the past, because eventually, how I see is this: there's going to be a lot of technology that's going to come out that is going to take away a lot of the jobs that many people have. A computer cannot do one thing. Cannot truly build a quality relationship with someone else that makes them want to work with you. If you notice, there's a big boom that happened, a big curve in the amount of activities that people like to do outside, in the sense of like the Tough Mudder and other type of activities, because people want to do other social events, physical activities, and communal activities. There's a significant increase in people wanting to move to towns that are like downtown areas and willing to pay a premium for that because they want to be around other people. And if you're able to do something, even semi-menial job, but are able to have great personality and great people skills, people will choose to work with you because they love that interaction. That is a big investment in yourself in addition to financial education. So I would do that because, you're not going to flip $10,000 to $1 million. But you can flip your mindset from a $10,000 mindset to $1 million mindset. And that is the biggest benefit. Let's go to the next question. All right. King Pod said, do you manage all of your properties or you hire a property management company? I don't do it myself. I do advise on certain parts for the people that work for me, but we do manage the properties in-house. Back to what I said in the past, if you are a doctor or a professional that makes a good amount of money, it does not make sense for you to manage your own properties, especially since most of them only own like 1 to 4 or 5 properties. If you are not one of those people and you're working a job that doesn't pay very much, by paying a property manager, it would eat up most of your profits. As a doctor, you're looking mostly for upside potential, not just the rental income, and you can give up some of the income to pay a property manager to have more time because you're going to make way more money as a doctor working in your profession than it is trying to find another tenant. But in the sense of where majority of your profit in the beginning, if you are a person like myself that started with nothing, you're gonna have most of the money in the you're not gonna have much money there. So you're gonna basically be giving up almost all of your profit to the property manager. So you're gonna have to kind of learn how to do it. And I think it's very important if you're planning to become big in the game, you should understand how it is to work with tenants. You should understand how that part of the business functions. And that's gonna make you better at being a real estate investor. So Real Estate Guru says, in your opinion, what's the best way to establish a business credit card? I'm guessing credit card. Since you are on that topic. So business credit, how I do it, and what works for me well, I'll teach you a couple of things, a couple of hacks about that as well. So when you're applying for a business credit card, that business credit card is, you're going to apply for it in the company's name. So they're going to ask for, the company is going to ask for, the bank is going to ask for your company's EIN. So let's say one of my companies is Restoring Tampa Bay. It's going to ask for Restoring Tampa Bay's EIN number. And it's going to ask for who is the person guaranteeing it. Meaning if the company doesn't pay, who are we going to sue or come after to pay for it? And I'm going to say, I will be that guy because I own the company. So personal guarantee or creditor, or the person getting the credit is Restoring Tampa Bay. The person guaranteeing it is Baskal Korkis. Now, that will build the company's credit. By doing that, it will pull the company's credit, it will pull your credit. Then, it will report how you're using the account on the company's credit, not your credit. So whatever the balance is on that business credit card, it should not show up on your personal credit. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to show up under the business credit report, not your personal credit report. So as you use it, just like personal credit, when you have multiple cards and you've been doing it for quite a while, as you use a more and more credit for the company, that's going to build the company's credit rating. You can also register for Better Business Bureau and different things like that. I haven't, just because I keep my personal credit so high that I'm vouching enough for the company that, and then once the ball gets rolling, it kind of establishes itself. Now, when the market tanked, so this is key because ish is going to hit the fan the next few years, and I want you guys to be prepared. So how I did it. When ish hit the fan, I got tight on money. So what did I do? I got a credit card in one of my company's name. That credit card gave me 0% interest for like 12 to 15 months. So then I went and used that money to pay for all the repairs I had to do on the properties. And then I only made the minimum payments on that credit card since it was 0% interest for that 15-month period. And then later, when I needed more credit, and again, I'm very conservative, so I was making sure I had enough money to pay for this credit. So in the 15 months, I would have enough money to pay off this credit card. What would I do to get more money available to me until the economy got better? I got another credit card in another one of my company's names and applied for credit on that credit card. On that credit card, I then used that for 0% interest for 15 months. Now, when they're pulling my personal credit, they're going to show me 0. This guy doesn't owe anything on any credit cards in his personal name. Super high credit score. Because they never saw that I owed $30,000 on my business credit card in one company. And then I just got another $30,000 credit card from another one of my companies. 0% interest. And then when I ran that up, I got a third credit card for, say, $20,000, $30,000. So I was running about $80,000 cycling. And then I would have a fourth one to start using that one to give me 0% interest for 15 months so I can survive during this rough time. And then what I did is I paid off the first one. So when it came time when I was going to start being required to pay interest, I paid it off. So then I had $60,000 left on the other cards. And I used the next card to start filling that up again, 0% interest. And then when it came time to pay the top one, I paid it off. So I kept on playing the game where I was paying off the one where I'd have to start paying interest on and using the other ones to borrow the money for free. So you can see what I was doing. I was borrowing money for free to buy myself time until the economy got better. This should not be done to that level when the economy is good. This is the reason why. A lot of people did that, and when the economy tanked, they couldn't get more credit, and they were doing on very risky investments. I did it on very conservative investments on the worst time because I knew the economy was going up from there. If you did that now, where it's very hot, you're not going to get more credit, and things aren't going to get better from here. They're actually going to get worse from here. So it's not something you want to do now. That is my warning. My point is, if things get bad and you need to survive to pay for your investments, that's what you do. Do not do this if you're doing it for your own personal living and for your own lifestyle. That is not what it's meant to be, the tip I just gave you. So be very careful. I'm giving you guys very powerful hacks that you can use to play the game, but you must use them conservatively because otherwise you're going to set yourself up for failure, and I don't want to do that. I want to make sure all you guys are successful. So that's what you can do to buy yourself time by cycling through all those business credit cards, and none of them will show up on your personal credit. So your personal credit will still show 800, 750, whatever it is. And if the next question you're going to ask me is, well, what about all those inquiries on your credit? Those inquiries, the hard hits only last for 2 years. And as you get more and more credit history, hard hits don't matter that much. You can I have probably like 12 hard hits right now in the last 24 months. It doesn't make much on my credit. I'm still at like 800, 780 on another one. So it doesn't make much difference. Let's go to the next question. What's up, Chino? Antic, what's up? All right, Chino has a question. I joined a little late, but I'm here. How can a person start investing in real estate if I personally don't have too much money and little debt but good credit? So when I invest in real estate, you don't have much money. So much money is really relative. As a first-time home buyer, you're only required to put down 3.5% down. Okay? So let's just say you get a home or a condo or a duplex. Let's say you get a duplex for like $200,000. That's only, what is that? $7,000 down plus closing costs, $15,000. $15,000 total. Let's just say you're in. You're in for 15 grand. You're gonna get into that spot. If you don't have the money, there's a lot of different organizations that'll help you get the money. If you got a duplex at that point, you live on one side, you rent out the other side. Now you're saying, well, how is that investing? Most likely, if you're buying right, the side that you're living in is less money than the rent you were paying. So that difference in savings, if you save money, you made money. Remember that. You don't have to think about, I know a lot of people that make a crazy amount of money and can't save anything. It doesn't matter how much you make if you can't save anything. So if you can actually get into a property and pay your expenses are less than your rent, just make sure you save that extra difference. Don't go get a bigger car, nicer stuff. Save it. That's your profit. That's a good way to make money. And it's very easy to buy your first deal as your first time home. It's easy to get it. So now you do that, you get everything better, you fix the property up. 2 years from now, a year from now, you go buy for another duplex as your primary residence and you rent out the property that you're living in. So now you have that duplex as your investment and you're now in another home as a investment. And you want to buy homes and you have to be having the willingness to struggle a little bit in the beginning or not have what you want in the beginning. Because in the beginning, you want to find a duplex or triplex or quadplex that's not in the best condition. You move in, you live in one unit, you renovate the property, you add value, you add $100,000 in value, then go get a line of credit. They'll give you that $100,000 back. And now you can say, all right, I'm going to move on to another one and do it again in 2 years. And you can use that $100,000 from the line of credit, put it back into your checking account, and then you can go and use that as a down payment on your next deal. So then, by year 6, you have 10 units. And that was a very slow, conservative way of doing it. Very slow, very conservative, 10 units. You're comfortable, you know? Then, at that point, sky's the limit. You don't got much problems at this point. You're going to be able to scale because you're making now money on 10 units. You're going to be great. All right. Eric says, hey, brother, what are your thoughts on the recession? Do you stop flipping during that time and hold your cash, or do you continue no matter what? Just be more strategic and picky with the properties. Yeah, I'm going to go towards the end. We don't know if it's going to be, I think it's going to be a correction, an adjustment, not a recession. Only God knows, right? But we can't stop sitting on the sidelines. It's not going to be, I wouldn't sit on the sidelines. I'm still buying deals. But deal is a really weighted word, like a deal. So you better make sure that you account for the coming recession and buy them cheaper. Now, there's a lot of things that I'm not able to buy now. And I felt like there should have been a correction 2 years ago, to be honest with you. Let's be real. There should have been a correction 2 years ago, but there were certain things that the government did that kept it from happening. So I've been careful, been treading lightly, because you don't know where the ice is going to break and you fall down. So tread lightly, continue to tread lightly, but I would not stop working altogether. Because especially if this is going to be your main business or a business that's going to become your main business eventually, what are you going to quit and retire? Like, it doesn't work. Have other side hustles, but tread lightly and keep going forward. What's up, guys? All right. Ashwan, what's up? Let's look for that next question. All right, so there's a lot here. What's up, Gally? All right. Victor says, what are your thoughts about property and tax deed sales? I mean, I'm not going to say I'm an expert on tax deed sales. The concept is awesome because you're buying. So let me explain to everyone who doesn't know what a tax deed sale is. You pay your property taxes every year, and you have to pay it to the government. The government needs the money, the local county needs the money to survive. That's how they pay for their police force and public works and things like that. So they need the money, and if people don't pay their property taxes, they don't have the money. So they'll sell the tax deed, right? They'll sell basically your property taxes. So, for example, normally it's after 2 years. So for 2 years, you have to pay your property taxes. And let's just say your property taxes are $4,000. And the county normally charges interest for every month you're late on your property taxes. But at a certain point, they don't need an investment. They actually need money because they're not working for investments. They're working to actually get money to pay for the bills to help the citizens out. So they're going to sell the tax deed. They're going to sell that $4,000 plus interest contract, right, to the open market. And you can go online and you can buy it. And normally what happens is people will bid. And let's just say you're like, I want 15% interest on this. And you can sometimes get that. And you'll win that tax deed bill. And you can say, I'm going to charge 15% interest to this homeowner. Someone else will say 14, 13, 12, 11. And at the end of the day, between everyone bidding in this auction, this is like a backwards auction. The person who bids the lowest interest rate is the one who wins it usually. So let's just say some rich guy says, I don't need a lot of money, but I have a lot of cash and I want to put it somewhere. I will buy that tax deed of $4,000 of back taxes owed, and I'm only going to charge the homeowner 8% interest. And he'll charge 8% interest on that tax deed. And he'll get it because the county doesn't want to give it to the guy that's charging 15% interest because they don't want to harass the homeowner. They just want their money because they need to pay their bills. So then they're going to go basically let you keep it. So I'm going to, let's say I bought it, and John Smith down the street didn't pay his property taxes. So now I own his tax deed, and I'm charging him basically 8% interest on it, and it's 8% is added on that $4,000 per year. So that's what's called a tax deed sale. You're buying your tax deeds. Eventually, what you can do is you can foreclose on that tax lien. But basically, you're gonna foreclose on the property, saying, "Look, they didn't pay their property taxes. I want my $4,000 plus my interest on the money that I bought. And look, the county sold it to me, so I own this piece of paper." Tax liens are in first lien position. They go before the first mortgage, the second mortgage, contractor liens, everything else. Tax liens are number one. The only other thing I think that's before them is U.S. government IRS liens. I think they're the only ones before tax liens. So, basically you could foreclose at some point and take the property over and take ownership at that point. Now again, don't forget, there is going to probably be a first mortgage, a second mortgage, and everybody else behind you. So it's not like you're going to own the home free and clear. But it is a way where you could get a property for a good price. And most of the time, the game is involving you getting paid 8, 10, 12% interest on putting out some money. Not a bad idea. You do kind of need to know what you're doing. You do have to have some type of connects with some lawyers because sometimes things get sticky and you got to fix them. And if you don't have connects to where you can get lawyers at a good rate, all the money you made, you just spent in legal fees. So if you're going to go down this route, you got to kind of go down this route and do well and focus on it. At the same time, the pro of this, the positive part is this. Sometimes you could pick up a property for cheap. You know, like say there is a first mortgage, but the first mortgage is $100,000 and the property's worth $200,000. And somehow you can foreclose on it and pick it up for $100,000 under value. So yeah, you lost money on your other deals, but you made a huge chunk of money on this deal. So again, you still kind of have to have some connections with lawyers to help facilitate this deal and make sure that you're maximizing on your profits. So depending on how aggressive you are, you could be a conservative person or more aggressive. Those are tax deeds. That's how tax deeds work, at least in Florida. Each state has their own rules, but in Florida, that's basically how it works. What's up, Ramon? Chino has a question. That's something I've been doing to get out of some personal debt little by little. Yeah, if you need to cycle your debt and 0% interest credit cards, it buys you time to not be drowned in the debt cycle of the high interest rates. Really important that, just think of it this way. I don't know if you ever thought about this, but think of it this way, and it's really important to think this way because it's going to change your life, change the way you treat your finances. If you have a $5,000 credit card and you pay 20% interest on that credit card, you're paying $1,000 a year to borrow that $5,000. One, that's a crazy amount of money. Two, if you're making $30,000 a year, you are basically saying 2 weeks out of my life, I will be a slave to this credit card company. How? You're saying 2 weeks out of the year is what it's going to take, 2 weeks of work, I'm going to have to work to pay the $1,000 in interest. I am going to be a slave to this credit card company because I have to work for 2 weeks Now again, you're not a slave in the sense you work for the credit card company, but you're a slave because you have to work somewhere else, doing something you probably don't like, to pay the $1,000 to this credit card company. And because you didn't pay down that $5,000, next year you owe them another 2 weeks of your life. Next year you owe them another 2 weeks of your life. For the rest of your life, you will owe them 2 weeks of 2 weeks of every single year of your life to pay them back. I don't know if you guys understand any other definition of being a slave, but you're a slave. Now you can go to court and say, I don't want to be a slave to my credit card company master. But then the court will be like, yes, I'm going to give you your freedom and I'm going to go through a bankruptcy. But then it still was like you were a slave and no one else wants to deal with you because you have such a blemish on you. So buy your freedom back. Pay off your only take debts that are going to bring you back money. I have a lot of debt. I have what's called healthy debt. You know how there's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol? I have good debt because I'm partnering with the bank, and me and the bank said, all right, we're going to have a partnership. The bank is going to put up 80% of the money on this property. I'm going to put up 20% of the money. I'm going to pay them interest at 4 to 5%. And they're like, you know what, Baskal, you can keep the rest of the money. And on top of that, you can keep all the appreciation on the property. That's a healthy partnership. But if you're buying toys and depreciating assets, then you're putting yourself in a bad position. So be careful how you're using your debt because it could be good or bad for you. All right. What's up, guys? All right. If anyone wants to go live and ask me questions, they're definitely welcome to. What's up, Mizzy? All right. Next question. How can I do my first deal if I live in New York? I mean, doesn't matter where you're at, to be honest with you. It's a deal is right in the word, a deal. A deal depends on you finding something that is more valuable than what it's currently being sold for, or if they're asking a lot of money for you to be able to have the skill set of reading a book, How to Win Friends and Influencing People, and learning to how to negotiate with the seller to let them know, look, I know what you want, and that's an awesome thing if you want to sell it for that, and I wish you luck, and I really hope you get what you're asking for. But in the current market, let's be serious, I don't know if you really can get it for that much money. And especially what you're asking for is what the other home down the street sold for, but fully remodeled. So let's look at that. It's about $100,000 more money in remodeling costs. There's going to be interest on the carrying cost. There's going to be selling fees. In reality, you need to sell your property for like at least $200,000 less. By knowing how to talk to people and show them, you can create a deal. Remember, when you say, how can I find my first deal, or how can I do my first deal in the state? A deal is relative to where you live. Now, I live in Florida. For me to make the same money you in New York you're going to make in New York, I may have to do 5 deals to make how much money you make in 1 deal. So, a deal is made by you negotiating with the person to showing them that you're buying it at a price where you have to then add more value to it to sell it at what its full market potential is. So don't worry about where you live, anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world. This can be done anywhere. Same situation. We know there's a lot of times you can buy a car way under what they sell it for at the dealership, because we can negotiate buying and selling the cars with individuals. There's no difference if you buy a car for a good deal from someone personally and it being worth a lot more than what you paid for it. It makes no difference with real estate. It's actually a little bit easier with real estate because it's a lot easier to get a loan. Let's see. We got a lot of great questions. So Marez says, should you always try to save 20% down? I personally like that, right? But you are not required to. The first deal, especially if you get a quality built property and you can buy it for 3.5% down plus closing costs. And sometimes the local governments can help you with the down payment amount, down payment assistance. Sometimes the seller can give you a credit to help you pay for the down payment. You can do it with just 3.5% down. The key is this. Are you paying less money owning the property than you are renting? In Florida, there's a lot of opportunities where your rent is more expensive. Most of the time, it's more expensive than you buying a place. So it is awesome when you can own a home, save $500 a month in rent, and just save $6,000 a year that way. That's a huge amount of money, especially since the average individual only makes $35,000 a year. That's like 20%. That's about almost 20% of your income. And you're not taxed on the money you save. That's what's amazing. You're like, oh, I made $6,000 more. But do you know how much money you have to pay in tax for that? If you can save $6,000, it means way more than you making $6,000 more. Plus, in addition, if you can buy, I love multi-units because it's made me wealthy. If you buy multi-units as your first deal with a limited down payment amount, that's what's going to make you wealthy. Don't get prideful and be like, I want to own my own condo, I want to own my own house, or don't feel overwhelmed that owning a multi-unit is very intimidating. It is a lot easier, and I promise you, it is way easier to own a 10-unit apartment complex than it is to own one condo. Way easier, way cheaper, it's a lot more affordable. And once you see the scale, you'll be able to understand it very well. What's up, Alex? All right. I got another question. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. The question is, what are your thoughts about buying single family versus condo? Both of those are about the same to me. Depends on how busy you are. Personally, right? If you're busy, you don't want a house. It's a lot of maintenance. It's a lot of maintenance costs. Some people will complain that a condo fees are so high. Condo fees are actually, if you're buying in the right community, because each community, their finances are managed separately, so they can be financed and managed well or not well. So I lived in a condo community where I was paying $250 a month, and everyone's like, wow, that's so much money. I said it's not. Included water, sewer, garbage, included extended basic cable, included half of my internet costs because they gave me half price internet. It included insurance for the outside, it included lawn maintenance, a heated pool, included all of that. That is worth way more than $250 a month. But be careful about condos in this market, because condos go for really a premium right now because houses are so hard to afford. When they tank, when the market goes down, I'm not going to say it's going to tank because it's not going to tank, but when the market goes down, and it's going to happen the next year or two, they hurt the most. They fall the most. Second thing that falls the most usually is houses. Less is duplexes, less triplex, less quadplexes, and less larger. Because they're investments. So, single family and condo, it's a personal call. Me, you know what I'm going to say, buy multi-units. Diego, what's up, buddy? Bonilla says, hi, Baskal. I'm looking to refi. Where do I find a private lender or broker? And when cashing out, is that basically a loan that I owe back? Would like to understand it more. Thanks, friend. So, one, I can help you with the lending part of things. We do lending, and that's one of my companies. We do personal lending, private lending. We go through companies like Quicken Loans, Wells Fargo, all the big banks. We also go to the private banks that offer loans to people that are not American citizens, that are international people. They give loans, a lot of different options, investors, everything. So, we'll be able to help you in that section. Other than that, a broker, which is what we are, we're a brokerage, we do that stuff. Now, what you're talking about is cashing out. That's called a cash out refinance. A cash out refinance is basically this. You own a $300,000 home. You only owe $150,000. When you're doing the refinance, because you want the lower interest rate that everybody is offering right now, they said they will give you up to 80% of the home's value. That is going to be $240,000. The bank will give you basically a new loan for $240,000. They will pay off the other bank for $150,000, and they will give you $90,000 cash. So you owed $150, that is gone. The $90,000 cash is sent to you, and now you owe a new loan of $240,000. Normally, let's say at a 30-year period of time, at a lower interest rate right now. So the payment's probably going to be lower than what you were paying before. Or maybe equivalent, but you owe more money. I used to do that as well, and I still do that. But then I take the $90,000 and I use it to buy another property. I use it as a down payment for another deal that's paying really good money. So I'm using the $90,000 to make me 20% interest, to bring me in $18,000 a year, or $1,500 a month. And the increased mortgage payment, or the mortgage payment, is the exact same. So now I have the exact same payment. I do owe more money, and it is a longer term, but that's not so much my concern. My concern is, hey, I just brought in an extra $1,500 a month. Why I like it, why it works for me. I don't know how old you are and where you are in your life to say, are you going to soon retire or not? Because things will change slightly. It will change slightly dependent on your age. But for me, I'm not concerned, because let's just say I did get a 30-year mortgage. I just got a 30-year mortgage. I just did the same thing. I did a cash out refi. I bought this property for $180,000. I put down $40,000. I just did a cash out refi. I got a new loan for $290,000. I only owed about $100,000. I walked with $180,000. Remember, I only bought it for $40,000 5 years ago. Not only did I get my $40K back, I got another $140,000. What do you think I used it with that $180,000? I went and bought $1 million property with it. It's going to pay me great money. It's going to bring me in 20% return on my money. So, think about that. I'm going to bring in $40,000 minimum a year off of that money. My mortgage payment, the same as before. Everything's the same, but now I'm $40,000 a year richer in my cash flow. And I got a property that's going to appreciate because I bought it at a good deal. Don't care if the market's going to go down. I bought a good deal in a good area. I'm happy with keeping it. Everyone's like, you're going to sell it? You're going to flip it? Because I could flip and make almost $1 million on it. I'm like, I really don't want to, because $1 million would be nice. But this is such a key property and key location, making good money. It's not really, I don't think it's worth it to sell. So it's not always a good idea to sell. You have to run your numbers. Is it a good idea to sell or not? So I'm okay with it as long as you use your cash out money for a good reason. Some people will use that cash out money to pay off credit cards. That is a good reason, because they're paying high interest rates. Cut up those credit cards, because I promise you, just like people will cycle up and down in their diet, you will cycle up and down on your credit. So cut up that credit cards, because you don't want to go and take all the profit you made on your house, take a cash out refinance, pay off your credit cards, and then a few years later you add it back to your credit cards. And then you basically didn't gain from it. If you're going to take the cash out, invest it in conservative assets. They're going to bring you cash flow and help you for your retirement. You got 3 or 4 units, 4 units, that's 20 units. You're going to have a very comfortable retirement. And I promise you, it's not that hard to get to that level. Is it work? Yes. Do you have to learn? Yes. But struggle. You're going to have struggle in your life. I said, pick your struggle, or your struggle is going to pick you. It's better that you pick your struggle before you let life in the world pick your struggle. That's something I believe. Vito, what's up? Roland, what's up? All right, Roland says, hey bro, how's it going? Love your work. Motivation. So I've been hustling a long time, and to be honest, that's just my thing, my passion. So even though it's hard, I'm going to put it like this. I don't watch sports. I used to be a competitive powerlifter, stuff like that. But I don't watch football. I don't watch those stuff. But again, I did some football training. I did some wrestling training, stuff like that. I was on a wrestling team, stuff like that. So just like you love your sport, and you have to do conditioning, and you have to struggle, and you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have ate that lunch before working out. I'm going to throw up now. That struggle you go through. If you love your sport, you're going to do it. You're going to struggle. So it's okay. At least struggle and benefit. Most people struggle and get nothing out of it. Struggle and benefit. Struggle and grow. Everyone's struggling. Nobody you're going to talk to and say, I have an amazing life, I'm super happy. Usually that means they have a lot of bullshit going on that they want everyone to think their life is perfect. So just keep going. What's up, Joseph? Roland says, can I go on a ride along with you? Pick your brain, mentor. We'll see about that. We'll see about that. Again, if anybody wants to go live and like jump on the live and like ask Q&As, you're welcome to request in and ask, and you guys are welcome. Nolan asked to go live. Nolan, are you still interested in going live? Put it up there. Next, someone says, teach me how money works. So, money is simple. It's not real. Doesn't exist. There's value and lack of value. If there's lack of value, the price of something goes down. If there's value, it goes up. And what's beautiful is finding value when no one else does. And that's why you can never quit when everyone says you're wrong. If you know you're right, you keep going, keep sticking to it, and you're gonna make your shit. I was telling people in downtown Dunedin, since I was 18, I was buying. It's like, you gotta buy there. It's gonna be like Hoboken, New York, or New Jersey. It's gonna be sick. You gotta buy there. You're on the water. You're overlooking Clearwater Beach. This is so good. You gotta buy here. Yeah. There was value there that people couldn't understand. There's value in you that people couldn't understand. So don't diminish your own value. Understand what you're worth. Keep pushing for yourself. And just because people say you can't do it, don't believe them. Remember this. I didn't become a citizen until 3 years ago. I couldn't drive a car at times because my paperwork, my immigration paperwork got so screwed up. I should have gotten my paperwork when I was 11. I should have become a citizen, I think it was around 11. But they got lost. Lost for 19 years. And I was lost in the system. I couldn't work normal. I couldn't drive normal. I literally could not renew my driver's license. And remember, how does real estate work? It went up 5 times from the purchase price I bought it, but I only put down 20%. I only put down 10%. So what did I make? 50 times my money? 100 times my money? There was value there that people couldn't understand. There's value in you that people couldn't understand. So don't diminish your own value. Understand what you're worth. Keep pushing for yourself. And just because people say you can't do it, don't believe them. Remember this. I didn't become a citizen until 3 years ago. I couldn't drive a car at times because my paperwork, my immigration paperwork got so screwed up. I should have gotten my paperwork when I was 11. I should have become a citizen, I think it was around 11. But they got lost. Lost for 19 years. And I was lost in the system. I couldn't work normal. I couldn't drive normal. I literally could not renew my driver's license. I had to get out of college because I wasn't allowed to continue because I couldn't prove my residency because I literally couldn't apply because they couldn't find my papers in immigration. And then all day, one day, just boom, done. They found it and everything was fixed. But obviously I had lost 11 to 25. 14 years I lost and I couldn't do stuff normal like everybody else. And despite how everyone thought I was not capable of doing things because of my situation, I did not believe that. I was so thankful when I had a job to do anything. When I got very fortunate and I was able to get a work permit and I was able to work, I worked my ass off. At 18, I worked as a teller. Within a year and a half, they gave me a desk. At 19, I was doing loans. I was one of the youngest person ever to do loans at a bank. Why? Because I was so passionate about being able to work. It is a blessing to be able to work. Right now it doesn't feel like the way because everyone can get a job easy, but it is a blessing to work. You don't have to own your own company, right? I never planned to own any of my own companies. I was happy to be part of a team, but for some reason I was never able to find a team to be part of. And now, obviously, as you know, I own 5 different companies. I'm the leader of my team and in bringing in all the misfits that fit in with me. So you can make it. Don't feel that you're just hitting one struggle, it's over. It's part of it. Just, the one question I asked myself is this. I said, when it's super, super hard and it's weighing down heavy on me, I said, if I quit and I was going to go and do anything else, would I be happy doing anything else than what I'm doing? And I said, no, I wouldn't want to do anything that I'm passionate about right now just because it was easier. So I said, there's no point in quitting. I might not be getting paid because in many years I worked for free in the companies that I was building, but there was no point of going anywhere because at the end of the day, I was happy with what I was doing despite it was emotionally painful, feeling like a failure because the success wasn't there yet. The value I saw initially, but it never came to fruition. It took years for the value to appear. And then when I came in, J-curve. Overnight success. Baskal was an overnight success. Oh my God, look at everything. You got so lucky. Like, no, I put in 10 years to be an overnight success. So just keep hustling, guys. I diverted off of your main question. I'm so sorry. Teach me how money works. Money's not real. The government creates it. It's not backed by anything. They print more of it. It's paper that they print more of. So it's worth less every year. So you can guarantee this. The money you have today is worth less tomorrow. You have to exchange it for something of value. Real estate, companies that earn cash flow, that's something of value, right? So I can exchange my money for Apple stock, right? Apple stock is value. Cash is not value because Apple stock is generating cash. It's doing something of value. Cash has no value. It's not doing anything. It's just liquidity. Now you can use cash and have liquidity to buy things when everyone's struggling and to buy an asset of value, but because everyone's trying to sell, you buy it in cheap. Just because they sell a $300,000 home for $200,000 doesn't mean it's worth $200,000. It means those people struggled. They're in a hardship and you're buying it from them during the hardship and they're going to lose it to the bank. So you're buying it and you're securing it for cheaper. So money is not real. Money is an exchange of value. You create more value in yourself. You get paid more money, which means nothing that you must trade it immediately for assets. So if you're in a business that brings you in a lot of cash, don't blow that money. You must reinvest it into another thing of value because otherwise you're just going to have a lot of meaningless paper. In 20 years, you're going to be like, wow, I have all this meaningless paper. I blew most of it on garbage anyway. That's not worth anything. And now I have nothing to show for it. And I know a lot of people that are in 50s and 60s and they're like, oh my God, I'm 50 and 60. I blew all the money I was making, $300,000-$400,000 a year. I got nothing to show for it. I'm going to retire. I need to start investing in real estate. So do it now. You're going to be thankful later. Big Body says, Baskal, what do you think came first, the chicken or the egg? I think the baguette came first. Bread long, buddy. What's up, buddy? Hello, Adam. And is network marketing a good option? I'm not a big fan of it, but I'm not a big fan of it. Danny 20 says, you rent this properties long term or like Airbnb? Most of my properties is long term. We only have a few more minutes left on this live event, guys. It's been awesome working with everybody here. Invite your friends. Bring your questions next time. You guys have awesome questions. But not everywhere can you Airbnb. It's very specific. Now, the new 9-unit complex I bought that I'm converting into like 15 units, that is an area you can Airbnb. But not everywhere can you Airbnb. 2, the amount of time you're going to Airbnb something, the cost of your electric, your utilities, your cable, your internet, the furniture, the time you're investing, you have to figure out how much money you're making because it might not be worth it. So to answer it, you must calculate the differences to determine what is valuable or not valuable. Hey, eggplants. All right. Wink, wink. Thanks, buddy. It says, where else can I find you besides IG? I got 2 minutes left, guys. Where you can find me is on YouTube. We got a lot of funny videos too. Funny and educational. Check out Lords of Land. You're going to love it. It's so funny. All of these live events are on there. And there's other stuff that you do not see on IG on there. So like Lords of Land's not on there. And my other, you got to check it out to see. But there's a lot of other stuff on there too. All right, I'm going to go rapid fire right now. Try to answer things quick. Anyone that wants to go live, that's probably too late. What's the best advice for 400K equity? Again, normally what I do, again, without knowing everything else about you, I'd cash out, refi, buy another property that brings in a ton of cash. Because cash is going to be really important in a few years when the market's down. What does a broker in real estate do? A broker in real estate doesn't have to work underneath anybody else. So by being a broker, you can have other real estate agents work underneath you and you get a cut of what they sell. Or you could just work by yourself and not have to work for anybody else. Motivation says, I didn't hear you. How many units do you need to live comfortably? I live in California. Depends what part of California you live in, and it depends how you live your life. But 10 units, you should be really comfortable. 5 units, you should be okay. But then if you start getting 20, I mean, you should be really good. And what I normally do is I don't just go 20, 30, 40. I then sell my headache properties that are out of the 20. Say 4 or 5 are headache. I'll sell them, and I'll get 5 in a prime area. So I'll keep upgrading it. You know, do you the real MVP, Baskal? Where were you born and raised? I was born in Syria. I immigrated to America when I was 3 to New York. I failed horribly. I lived in the ghetto, and then I moved to Florida. All right. How often do you go live? Every Thursday night, 9 p.m. See you guys later.